Welcome to Optimizely, the content management system behind Child. In this introductory video, I'm going to show you some simple preparatory things, basically how to log into Optimizely, how to set up your work area, and the three main sections in the work area, which we call panes. So let's just dive right in. In order to log into your Optimizely account, you'll just go to the Child homepage in your web browser, scroll down to the bottom, and in the footer down here in the lower right hand corner is the Child Site Coordinator login link. Just click that. That takes you to the login page, and you'll just enter your username and password. And I hope I enter mine correctly the first time, and then click login. And odds are the first time you will essentially be taken back to the Child homepage. However, you'll notice that there's some differences. There's all this extra stuff up at the top that isn't normally there. And the real key here is that you can see there's the Optimizely logo and these buttons and such. That tells you that you are in fact logged in to Optimizely, and you're just seeing what's called the on-page editing mode, which looks very much like the actual displayed page. You'll see that there's like this ability to work and do some editing in this content block here, for instance. There's very little ability to do that on the home page because it's just pretty well locked down. In general, we strongly recommend that you actually not edit Child in the on-page editing mode that you see here, because that doesn't give you access to the full functionality of all the different features within Optimizely. So instead, we suggest that you change to the All Properties view. And you do that by coming up to this button here that just looks like a little bullet point list. And you click that. Now, this is the All Properties view. This is not nearly as appealing as the on-page editing view, but again, it gives you access to all the different features that Optimizely provides. What you're seeing right now is the work pane, which is one of the three main sections that we will introduce in this video. You can know it's the work pane because there's always this big gray section up at the top. And then there's additional content down below. We're on the Child home page right now, so there isn't a lot of content as far as the fields available right now, because that's, again, pretty locked down. But I'll demonstrate what a different page would look like in a moment. But we want to introduce the other two sections of the work area, the other two panes. The first one being the navigation pane, which you can open by clicking this little button up here near the upper left. That opens this. This is what allows you to navigate to the various pages within Child. Strongly suggest that you pin that by clicking the little pin button here. That allows you to always have this in place whenever you log back into Optimizely in the future. And you can click and drag. You can make that wider if you want, or you can keep it narrow. Now the third pane is the asset pane, and you find that over here on the upper right side, this little folders button, toggle assets pane. So I'll click that, and then once again I'll click the pin button to pin that, and then I'll actually narrow that down just a little bit. So now we have the three main panes: the navigation on the left, the work pane, which is the primary one in the middle, and the assets pane on the right side. In the navigation pane again, you can just click any of these carets to expand through the various subpages, and you can go to just about any of these that you want. Now, you will only have access to edit specific pages, but you will be able to view all the pages on Child within EpiServer. So as you can see, when I clicked on this FY24 Foundation Division Goals page in the navigation pane, the work pane changed. That's because by clicking that, I opened that page for editing in the work pane here in the middle. So very quickly, there's the name field. This is the name, the title of the page that will appear at the very top of the page. There's the name and the URL, which is almost always going to be based on the name of the page. We don't change the simple address. There's this display in navigation button, which just means that if that's toggled on, which it is by default, that means that under the left-hand side on a child page, there's the Explore This Section menu. It just means that this page would appear in the Explore This Section menu. Pages are visible to everyone by default. The language is English by default. The page type is almost always going to be a general content page. And then there's the Tools button here, which gives you a couple options, but really what you would use that for is expiration and archiving of a page, which is described in a different video. Scrolling down here a bit, there are these tabs that you'll see. You probably won't see the Settings tab. That's more of a child administrator action, but it shows here right now. You will have Content, Sidebar, Teaser Info, and SEO. Content tab is where you'll spend most of your time, and you'll see that there are some various fields down below it. There's the category where you can actually place a category title on a page. Generally, that's not used, probably not something you need to worry about. The page title override will override the name of the page at the top. Generally, though, you're not going to want to override the page title. You'll want the page to actually be named whatever you want that name to appear at the very top of the page. Enable section search will be always unchecked. It's rare that you would ever want to have that checked. There are some block fields up here at the top. The button header block, or the button header field, I should say, is for button header blocks that would appear at the very top of the page. You can learn more about blocks and things like that in other videos. Then there's this content blocks top field. Any block, I should say, that you place here will appear directly below the title, or if you have a button header block at the top. Then there's the main body editor, and this is where you'll probably spend most of your time. This is where you enter text, you can place your images, you create links, and that sort of thing. And then down at the bottom, there's a content blocks bottom field. Any block that you place down here will appear at the very bottom of the page, although it will be above the footer that appears on every single child page. So that's the content tab. The sidebar tab, this is where you add content to the left or right rails, as they're sometimes called. I'll come up here to the preview button, which allows us to preview what this page would look like on actual child. So this is where items that appear in the left sidebar would show up. They'd be below the Explore This Section menu. And this is where items in the right sidebar would show up. So I'll toggle back by clicking previewing. So that's just where you would include blocks that would appear in either the left or the right sidebar. Then there's the Teaser Info tab. The Teaser Info, this text here is what appears as the page description essentially in a search engine results page. So if someone searches for the page name and that page name shows up in the search list, this will just be the descriptive text that appears below it. And then there is the SEO tab. This includes the page title field. This is the text that will appear in the tab in the web browser when you open that page. Then there's the page description, which is a bit of a misnomer because this isn't actually the description that shows anywhere. This is really more for adding keywords that you want the page to rank for in search. And then generally, you won't have to use any of these other fields down here, although once in a while you may want to exclude a page you're working on from being searchable, as in it won't show up in search results. So you would exclude it from search and search crawlers. So that's the main high-level overview of the work pane. Now let's take a quick peek at the assets pane on the right. You'll notice there are two tabs at the top, the blocks tab and the media tab. and you saw that there was some little difference when you click through them. You'll also see here that there is a folder tree, and there's also a blocks folder and a media folder. But it's important that when you want to create a block that you actually be in the blocks tab itself. And when you're working with blocks, you can actually usually create a block under for this page, because most blocks aren't going to be used on multiple pages. If you do have a block you want to use on multiple pages, then you can go ahead and add that block, create it in one of these subfolders, wherever seems appropriate. If you are going to be uploading a media file, such as a Word document, a PowerPoint presentation, or a PDF file, that needs to go in the Media tab. Now, Media tab also includes for this page, but cannot emphasize this enough. Do not save media files under for this page. That will make it incredibly challenging to find them if they ever need to be updated. So what you'll want to do when you're uploading a media file is to make sure the Media tab is selected, and then come down here to the Media folder, open that, and then navigate to wherever you want it saved. So let's say I wanted to save something to the Marcom department section. I would open People and Places and then Departments, and then I would scroll down to Marcom, expand that, and click on whichever folder I wanted to upload the file to. So again, that's just a really high-level overview of Optimizely, the work area, the various panes, and how you log in. You can find more details on various functions in the other videos.